Hello, YouTube. This is Lord Zath bringing you a very special edition of Zath's Replay Theater. And it's special for two reasons. One is this is a clan battle from our first season of Clan Battles, which just ended, tier. And the second reason is because we are looking at Pulicat, and he's actually joining us in the chat for this replay.
Meow. How's it going?
Meow.
Meow.
Oh boy. All right. Well,
Enough said.
enough said. Okay. So, Pulicat, I'm going to take a couple of screenshots of your ship and stuff, and while I'm doing that, can you tell us a little bit about the ship and what makes it so good, especially in clan battles?
Well, I mean, the Hindenburg is just like a good ship all around right now. Ever since they changed the HE pen to 1/4, like the HE is way better than Zhao. The AP is way better. It's 10-second reload. Concealment is decent. Maneuverability is decent, and the armor is amazing. It's just one of the most versatile ships for cruisers at tier 10 right now, and it works great for just low amount of ships like this, where you need ships to just kind of like float around and become sudden problems later on in the game. It's just a fantastic ship. Has to be nerfed. Expect a nerf soon, but we'll see.
Are you going to be the reason for the nerf?
I mean, I am enjoying it. I played it a lot just to keep fresh with it during clan battles. But like, I don't really know what they can nerf, like other than the reload speed. Like,
Right.
there's not a whole lot. So.
And for flags, you're running the same setup that I think most people did, which is, of course, Juliet Charlie for no detonation, speed flag. You've got both of the fire-producing flags, the ramming flag, the one that boosts your heal, the reduction in fire, and, of course, the consumable reload one, too. So, makes sense.
Yeah, I used to, don't tell my clanmates, but I used to have the pop on there. Just farm the free XP, but for the last 2 weeks I was like, yeah, I'll just not put that on there.
Yeah, the rewards are pretty good, so it makes perfect sense to do that.
Oh yeah, lots of free XP.
This camo you're using, is this the permanent camouflage?
Yep.
Makes sense too.
I have them for all the ships because money.
Why not? Alright, sir, well, are you ready to kind of get started?
Sure, man, just let me know.
Okay, so you've had it paused for a while now, right?
Yeah, I'm sitting at 20.
Perfect. Okay, what I'm going to have you do is hit the home key, and then as soon as you hit 1955, count it down every second for about 10 seconds.
Like verbally?
Yep.
Okay. 1955, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 49, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Okay, perfect.
4.
That just enables me to synchronize up because I hit the the play button too essentially, and then I speed up, slow down as necessary. So thank you. We are synchronized.
Nice.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about this setup? This is Mountain Range, and obviously they're south of you guys.
So we kind of feel like north is probably the worst side, and it's mostly because like the island that I'm looking at right now. From the south, it's much easier to see a ship that's sitting there and shoot at it, rather than if you're in the south, you can't really do that so well. So we kind of view it as a disadvantaged side, even though we still put a ship there. But we don't focus on sea since like most of the season. What we ended up doing very early on is we send 4 cruisers to A, and you just pedal to the metal the whole way and hope for the best.
Okay.
Because a lot of like the problems with the 6 cruisers we found when you don't have a DD is that it allows other teams to early cap and put pressure in, and especially on a map like this, it takes a long time to get from A to B. So if you have the enemy team, in this instance, capture B and C like at the same time, the heat is on and you have to run the whole way. But throughout the whole season, we've debated it, and we've decided just to keep running the all cruisers because we don't feel the DD is useful beyond that. So as long as we can stay together and keep moving, we should be able to get what we need done and just overwhelm them with just a superiority of HP and firepower.
Roger that. Now, was this later in the season then? So this is like last week?
This one, I believe, is last Thursday. Pretty sure.
Okay.
So yeah, it was like the final week.
Now, how do you have your Hindenburg set up? Would you mind going through your commander skills and upgrades real quick?
I have preventative maintenance on it to keep my torpedo tubes alive. As little use as you get out of them, it's nice to have them in the crunch time. Like if they can, like an opponent can easily shoot your tubes if they really wanted to, and then you have nothing.
Right.
So decided just to have preventative maintenance on there for that. Usual stuff like expert marksman, high alert, Jack. I believe I had superintendent on there, and basics of survivability maybe, and then just the concealment, and that was pretty much it. So we didn't have like a unified build like other players in my team will have different setups. Like our Mosfas have RPF, and those are the only ones that have it. The Hindenburg that's in D10 right now, he also has RPF because Jack always plays those kind of positions where he's out on his own.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so everyone kind of built for their position more than a unified build.
Speaking of which, what is he doing all the way out there on the 10 line?
So what we found is that if you position them like in such a way, because we don't plan on going for C at all
Right.
until very late game. So what they're doing is if the enemy decides to push C, I need those two ships to live for as long as possible. And what we found is if a Mosfa is dug in and a Hindenburg is, because he's ready to run away north, and if he's running away, they can't come around on the Mosfa without that Hindenburg punishing them. So
Right.
it creates a sort of like two-man defense that can hold against a significant portion of ships for a long time, and it gives us time to rotate back and catch them from the side. So he's really just in a position to run away like a coward.
But, you know, hey, cowards sometimes live and win, right?
You know what? Jack seemed to have the most problem the entire season. For whatever reason, he died probably the first, almost all our games, because he would just do these crazy maneuvers, and they worked a lot, and it was amazing. But he would always die for it. Like, but you know, kudos to him. He made the hard calls, and he threw his ship away in really good ways, and you know, it helped us win a lot of games. So.
Okay, so he was
He's
your
a good man.
he was your caller then?
So the way we decided to do it is, like, right now in this game, I'm calling from the center. So, like me and Feminist, we're calling together.
Gotcha.
I'm the caller. Feminist would be my follower, so he follows my cue. Potato in front of me is calling for Dank, so they're a group of two. Over in the east, Jack is calling for those two, and then BFK is calling for himself.
Okay.
So we found that instead of having an overarching like micromanaging caller doing everything, we decided to just have like I'll make the macro calls where, you know, if I need a certain thing done by the whole group, I will call for it. But on an individual basis, we found that, you know, our players are good enough to where they understand the position they're in and what they can do. So we just let them do what they feel is best, and it worked pretty well for us. So
Looks like the Moskva got caught out by the Montana, huh?
Oh,
Their
yeah.
Moskva, I should say. And he's going down pretty quick.
So the reason this push was built, the 4 cruisers to the west, was to make them think that we were pushing B, and they still do. But this would at the start they would convince them to go into C with all their ships, and then everything in the west would just come right through the middle and get everything in the side.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Now, most teams caught on to that, and now that you see like the 3 cruisers that are already facing away before they even started fighting us,
Right.
they would always do that against us, and it's a struggle because you'll see like William is going to get hit for a long time here, but we're getting good trades against this Montana, so we're just trying to gain and punish them for their C push. They managed to cap it, which sucks, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on us here, but Um, I don't even think we end up killing the Montana until much later because he gets away. But we killed the Mosfa, which is good, and they're going to be running from sea, so we're going to be able to take that in the future, and it'll relieve a lot of pressure now from that. So
Right, I kind of already see that Jack over there is turning around, so he's already positioning himself for a push into sea.
yeah, like as soon as that Mosfa was dead, they have overwhelming superiority, especially with where their Montana is positioned. Like once we make the next island gap, then sea is pretty much going to be secure. So the way the center plays is you have the island at A, and then when we feel it's safe, usually right away, we make the next island gap. And then we'll wait and then make the next island gap, and so on and so forth while we push slowly to B. Normally we have two Hindenburgs in the west pushing, but I ended up being right here instead of with BFK because their ships were in C. So I decided to cut it early and just punish the ships there.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are completely ignoring the cruisers to the south. Well, BFK might be hitting them, right?
He is focusing on them. These two in front of me are now as well, but the
Right.
problem now is that their DD is basically just passive spotting. Like he's not really getting torpedoes. He got one on Dank, I think, but he's passive spotting Dank, and those cruisers are starting to really hurt. So this is the point where the pedal to the metal begins. I am W key the rest of this match. And my entire goal is to just keep that DD back so he can't spot Dank or Potato for a while and just take the pressure off.
And the nice thing about the Hindenburg is it's kind of built to do that with its armor and all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah, it's an extremely durable ship. It has, it's got a great HP pool. Heals work, especially with the flags. So as long as you don't have to broadside something, you're okay. We found that the biggest problem we found with Hindenburg is if teams are playing Zhao, which they are, but they ended up not doing the thing. Um, if you place your Zhao in a retreating position and just have AP ready, and then a Hindenburg walks into its view range, that Zhao won't be spotted, but he's got that Hindenburg spotted.
Right.
And so all his allies can shoot at the Hindenburg, and eventually that Hindenburg is going to be forced to like either turn away or charge until he's dead. Either is not good. If he has to turn away, that's when the Zhao comes out with that full AP salvo and it pretty much devastates the ship
Right.
at that. But luckily, their Zhao player decided not to do that, so I'm happy. So you can see like their Des Moines in the east here has turned back and is now presenting a huge problem for Jack. Like we can't see much going on over there, but yeah,
Right.
Hindenburg does not win against Des Moines at all. So at this point, I'm telling our battleship he needs to go over there and just try to kill it. Whether Jack lives or dies, that Hindenburg or that Des Moines needs to go because we are down like 100 points at this point. We're not getting to B anytime soon, and we're not getting to C anytime soon. So ships need to die, and we need to be able to start moving up. Otherwise, we're going to lose on points, which can happen very easily, especially on this map.
I was going to mention earlier when you were going up against that Montana, and you guys are kind of both broadsiding each other. I like how you changed to AP and then he immediately started turning. That happens to me so often when I play. It gets so frustrating.
Yeah, it's sort of like a mind game. Like you have to. I find that the best way I do it is like I imagine myself in that player's position, and I'm like, what would I do? What do I have to do? Do I have to turn away now? Am I getting focused too hard? And then you can prepare an AP salvo for something. Or let's say if I was a battleship and there was like a cruiser in front of me, I might not fire my guns because he's stuck bow on. As soon as I fire my guns, he gets to move. Like he can turn away safely. But
Right.
if I just do nothing, he has to stay engaged, and that's further compromising his position. The longer he has to move forward, away from his allies, closer to me and my allies, the more problem it's going to be for him. So yeah, they just managed to kill the Des Moines over there, and now we're capping the sea, which is going to relieve pretty much all the pressure at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
The problem, losing that Mosfa early kind of cost them at sea. Like if that Mosfa had lived, like and like it could have been easily different. But we can easily walk to B now. Their ships are pretty much on the border. Usually, as soon as you, against us anyway, as soon as all your ships leave the west of this island line, like that gives away the cap, and either you're gonna have to border hug on the 2-3, or you have to go to the other side. And as soon as you do, like there's all these alcoves, especially on the north, there's alcoves you can sit on and cap it from pretty much virtual safety. So that's pretty much the goal with just like pushing everyone straight at you. Like you can see, like everyone is in a full line across the map, moving straight
Mm-hmm.
to the enemy, right? And you're just pushing with your overwhelming numbers and just going, because most teams run a DD now, which is fine. It has its own advantages, but the all cruiser, the only advantage is that you can just walk. You can
Right.
just walk at enemies and just keep pushing them away. Try to trade positions. Unfortunately, the
Oh
CPC
no.
is gonna kill me here.
But it almost doesn't matter at this point, right? Because you've pushed them now to that corner of the
Exactly.
map, and all you have to do is step on the B cap, and that prevents them from gaining any points at all unless they get a kill. And
That's
that,
how a lot of our games end, where we end up like they'll have two camps, and then we'll slowly like build lines, and as soon as you get like a ship advantage anywhere, right, you can just keep pushing, and then you'll get another cap, and then you'll take all three caps, and that's how a lot of games end when we're playing this setup, where we're just like charging. Because
what
it's either
is
gonna work. It either works and you win and you take all the caps, or it doesn't and you're not able to do what you need to do and you lose by points. That's pretty much how every game went, one way or the other. So
did this destroyer quit or maybe
yeah,
disconnect?
it seems like they gave up at this point, because I mean all three of their cruisers that are left are all riding the border.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
there's really no, they can't turn around. That's the problem, right? Once they're running away, they cannot turn around because there's so much firepower ready to punish that. So all they can do is run, and as long as we can weather the storm of them firing at us, we can keep pushing them. And it's just kind of like the snowball thing, where you just walk at your opponent.
Makes
Other people
sense.
can do it.
Well, Pulicat, I do want to say thank you so much for sending this. This is the first Clan Battles replay that I've obtained. So it's pretty awesome that we get to start off with a game from Salty, and we can see kind of um, how you guys have set up. And I do appreciate you kind of walking us through the thinking behind a lot of your composition and throughout the battle, what you were trying to do, and your goals, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. I imagine you didn't get any clan battle replays because people don't want you to see this stuff. But
Right.
now that the season's over, I don't have to worry. Like, there's gonna be a new meta next season, so not too big of a
Absolutely.
concern.
Absolutely. And that makes perfect sense, and not a big deal. But I think it's kind of cool, though, now that it's over, for people to look at it and say, oh, like, so this is what was going on, right? And, so
It
thanks for
is
that.
interesting to see the meta from like the lower squall and how they play, and then like the difference when you play Typhoon. Like everything in Typhoon is a lot more rigid because you have to play what's best, and you have to have good setups. But in Squall, like it's people play weird things like Minotaur, or they'll play Grozavoy or something. Like it doesn't really fit how the meta is made, because like there's like no carrier, you don't really need a Grozavoy, or smoke doesn't really work, and Minotaur's not a strong attacking ship. Minotaur doesn't fit in the meta very well. But you know I figure, like, if people want to watch and see what like a top level meta is like, and then they can emulate it, they might find more benefit with that and be able to push further next season or something. So
Absolutely. And at the very least, it gives them some things to think about. As they think about their own compositions, they think about their own stuff, and what seemed to work, what didn't seem to work. When they engaged you guys, and countered that strategy, oh, well, this is why it worked. If they lost against you, or, if they found a way to beat it, then, how did we beat it, essentially? So,
well, that's what happened with us. For the first 3 weeks, we played against we played a very rigid strategy where we all had our ships against islands and we were playing mostly Mosfas. And then there was like one day where we played ZR twice and they spanked us, they obliterated us twice that day. And we had to really sit there and think, what's wrong? What can we do? And then we came into this. We basically they were playing mostly Hindenburgs, and we're like, well, yeah, Hindenburg's good. We should start doing that. So we played mostly Hindenburgs, and we got off the islands, and that's where it really turned around for us, and we managed to like actually play a lot better because now you're not putting a ship in a position where they're kind of stuck there, and the player isn't able to execute their skill just sitting there hugging an island. Now they're in open water and they're able to exude their excellence of play much more effectively in just like doing how what they think they should do. So yeah, I
Mm.
hope every clan has that moment where they just have that epiphany of like what works and what doesn't, and then they can take it to random battles too, and they'll see the improvement of their play and whatnot. So
Absolutely. Well, and I think too, there's always, just like with ranked, there's the speculation. Like right now, everybody's speculating about what's going to work at tier 8 ranked, and then you play it a little bit, and okay, this is working like I thought, or it's not, and then you get to the final league, kind of like when you were talking about Typhoon League, and you start realizing what really does work and what really doesn't. And sometimes that takes a long time for a player to try to figure that out. I know for me, for a few seasons, like I just plumb couldn't figure it out. Like took weeks to do, and by then it was too late. So, I definitely think that a lot of the clans were doing that same thing for this.
yeah, and one thing I hope that Wargaming does, I know it doesn't really make sense, but like if you're gonna give out rental ships, they should just give out all the playable ships as rentals. That way, people aren't like stuck with Moss for rental, right? They have an option. They can do compositions and they can play what works. And yeah, they can have their no camo penalty, or maybe they can change it to like when you play a ship in scenario, you have to pay credits to get another play with it right
Oh,
away,
right.
or wait, stuff like that. I mean, you kind of want them to get the ships. I understand that, but like, I don't want people. A lot of issue from last season where teams weren't able to play as well as they could have is because they don't have these ships that were good for the meta, right? And I would hope that could be reduced for them so they could actually play to their effectiveness, and there'll be a lot more competition.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Well, Pulicat, I do want to thank you once again for being willing to do this joint commentary. It's always great being able to speak with somebody directly about what they're choosing and why and stuff like that. So it's definitely appreciated. So thank you again.
Yeah, man. I'll see you cracking next season.